had a little bit of trouble with my 1972 Yamaha R5. It's a 2-cylinder, 2-cycle bike, and it's got double carburetors on it. The problem was that at an idle, one cylinder was running and the left cylinder was not running. I determined this by feeling, of course, the cylinder head, and the one on the right would get warm and the one on the left would stay cold. Just feeling the cylinder fins. Also, I checked the exhaust manifold as it fit onto the head there, which on the right side got very hot. It'll burn your fingers if you're not careful. It really warms up good even at an idle. But the left side was cold. So I knew that at an idle it didn't work right at all. But at speed, if you take it out on the highway, on the freeway, it would run just fine and rev up good and everything else. But at an idle, it wasn't running on one cylinder, and therefore when you tried to start out with the bike, you had to kind of rev it up a little bit, slip the clutch. When the revs got over 3,000 RPM, the other cylinder cut in, and then it'd go just fine. It run fine, but it made it a little difficult to run in town or any place where there was stop and go because one cylinder wasn't running. And I determined that the problem was varnish, and it was in that little jet right there where it comes out. When the throttle slides in there at an idle, the throttle slide should be closed. If it's not closed all the way, it doesn't have enough vacuum to draw fuel through the idle circuit. But even with that slide all the way down, it wouldn't draw any fuel through the idle circuit, and I believe it was this little hole here that was plugged up, which I had to blow out using an air hose like this with a needle on it. Or I also used some of this, which is carburetor cleaner with a snout on there. I had to wear some safety glasses because when you spray that in this hole with carburetor cleaner, you just don't know where else it's going to come out of, and it might come back at me and hit me in the eye. So in order to fix this, I had to blow that out. You can take and run this little wire. This is a wire that's a tag was on. It's a real small, soft wire that you could put in that hole. But I don't like putting wires in holes if I can help it. And I would much prefer to just blow it out of there or use some other method to clean it. But that's what the problem was. Even though I got the throttle slide closed, it still wouldn't draw from the idle circuit. Therefore, I had to take the carbs off and clean that out. There's also an idle jet. It's inside this hole down in there. You can take it out if you get a screwdriver and put down in there. I don't know that you can see that too well here. Don't have light in there, but there's a small hole in there, number 30 idle jet. Well, I didn't have much problem with that. The cleaner, carburetor cleaner and air both go through that real easy. That was no problem with that one. And this is the main jet. They can get plugged up with varnish too, where they get a thin film over it. You can hold it up and you can see light through the main jet sometimes, and yet the thing's clean, clogged up with a skin of varnish across it. And when that happens, it won't run at high speed. Your high speed range won't work at all, but it idles just fine. So there's two different problems you could have, but in this case I've determined that it was the idle circuit on the left-hand carburetor. Anyways, that's what I did to fix it.